Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my third drive in the Nissan GTR of this month. It needs a run out and it's blue sky and sunshine, and we're headed down to NVN London, not to just check out my Lamborghini Ducati Diavel, but I feel like there are some unanswered questions from the collection video as to why I'm not allowed to ride the bike. So we will clear that up. I have mentioned it in a couple of Hypermotard videos, so if you've seen them, then you'll probably know the answer. Then you'll want to skip to probably the second half of the video. I'm heading up to SB Race Engineering because there is a 458 Italia headed in for IPE headers. So we start the video here where we left off, down at NVN London in the Timothy Alton Lounge, where this bike suits this room to an absolute T. The contrast between classic and modern, even the colours on this bike work perfectly with the rest of the room. But actually, it's a really nice living room centrepiece right here. And just taking another look at all of the details, I'm blown away that this is actually my bike, and the excitement levels on collection day hit a new all-time high that I actually got back from the collection day, put all of the video clips on my laptop and realised that I'd missed out quite a lot of important information that left quite a lot of unanswered questions about why this bike is here and not out on the road. So let's get straight into the fact that I don't actually have insurance to ride this bike. And the fact that I still collected it, still paid for it, makes me laugh, but at the same time it's quite frustrating. Well, basically, it's because I've got a lack of experience. This is an incredibly fast and expensive motorbike, and the fact that I live quite close to London. I went through 4 comparison websites. I also spoke to quite a lot of experienced motorcycle riders who were also giving me advice as to where to go to get insurance for this bike. I knew that it was going to be a challenge, and well, after all of that, one company came forward and gave me a quote for about 50% of the value of that bike for 1 year. Now, bearing in mind how much I was planning on riding it through the summer, I didn't really think it was worth it. 50%, this bike retails at £28,000. My insurance quote for the year came out at around £13,500. I mean, it's about 4 times more expensive for me to insure that than it is to insure an actual Lamborghini Murcielago. It's actually cheaper for me to finance, it's cheaper to own my Murcielago over a year through finance payments than it is to insure this bike for a year. So it made no financial sense for me to get insurance on this bike, but I still want to take delivery of it. I didn't want to miss the opportunity of owning this bike. So here is where it sits at NVN London, where it is going to get a full PPF, and I will document that process because this, I think, is going to be their first motorbike that they've PPF'd. But that's why I don't ride this bike at the moment. It's because I don't have insurance. I'm not legally allowed to ride this bike on the road, which, as beautiful as it looks, I think that's a good thing. For now, whilst I'm building experience up, I think it's a good thing. Now, a couple of other things that I feel like I should mention right now before we head up to SB Race Engineering to check out this 458 is the fact that Michelin supplied tyres for this bike, following on from the journey and the success of them helping me find my first motorbike in the Hypermotard. Michelin have supplied me with a set of Power 3 tyres which fit any standard Diavel, but I feel like I should probably mention that, the fact that it comes as standard with Pirelli, and we've swapped them over to Michelin. So even though I can't ride it on the road, it's got the right rubber on the road, on the bike, for when I do actually get it out on the road. And I also want to say massive thank you to Magnitude Finance for sorting this finance out. They've financed the Hypermotard and they've financed the Diavel along with the GTR and the Lamborghini Murcielago. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this bike. At the same time, it's stressful that I can't ride it, but I've accepted the fact that it is going to sit here and look beautiful and pretty as a living room piece of art, a very expensive one, but it is a beautiful thing. And I still look at the photos on my phone from the collection day and I just can't get over how good it looks in person. And everyone here that works on these cars on a day-to-day basis get really excited about checking this out. So yeah, I am very happy with it. Massive thank you to Michelin, massive thank you to Magnitude Finance, and of course Ducati Cambridge for everything that they did on the collection day, and NVN London for when they do PPF it and also housing it.
we all remember when my 458, or myself and Eurospares, 458 was down here getting a tubey D-cat and rear section and fab speed headers. We learned a lesson there that the tubey exhaust system, it's got a low, deep rumble to it, that even with the fab speed headers, it didn't make it a Formula One screamer. That car there has come here this morning with IPE D-cat pipes and an IPE titanium back box, which already sounds amazing. And what's going on at the moment is Barry is installing these, which are IPE headers that have a heat insulation jacket. I just need to put this down without dropping it. But it is going to be a phenomenal sounding car. And there are some pretty cool bits here at the moment. We've got a Gallardo Superleggera there, a few Ferraris, a 599 GTB up there on the ramp, and a road legal 430 challenge car.
The sound of the ratchet moving on the left side of the engine bay only means one thing, that we are now getting quite close to this being finished. Barry actually didn't have that much difficulty with getting this manifold in. He thought that the left hand side was going to be more difficult than the right hand side, but we are looking pretty close to a startup. Obviously the under trays here, we've got the inside wheel arches and the wheels to go back on before this car is ready to be collected. But in terms of startup, I'm basically going to force Barry to start it up before he puts all of this back, just so that we can hear it. But we're getting close, guys, and I think it's going to be loud. I've managed to persuade Barry to not put the wheels on yet so that we can get a start up. I don't know how far away I need to start up, but Barry, I'll give you the thumbs up. Now with the microphone facing me rather than the car, maybe you'll be able to hear me a little bit more, but that was basically 5,000 RPM, which is nowhere near the red line, and you can hear how smooth the revs are, you can hear how smooth and high-pitched the tone is, in comparison to mine, which was barky, shouty, and it really lost that Ferrari V8 sound. I think what IPE do so well, and I think it's got something to do with the fact that it's the titanium material, so it's all thinner, meaning that the vibrations are that much faster and it can withstand temperatures that are much higher. It just sounds like an old school Ferrari, a 355, a 360, and whilst on idle it's got this really low rumble. When you start getting up the revs, it sounds like an Italian V8. So yeah, I think we might be able to get a few more revs. The flames are ridiculous, and the bangs, when he lets go of the accelerator, the bangs just ripple through my body. I feel like I need another pair of glasses, and the return of the exhaust expert needs to come back to Supercars of London. Oh my God. I mean, my heart rate is through the roof just from standing behind it. The smell, the sound, the experience of hearing all of the sound
rattling all of the walls. It's a loud car.